The Electrocardiography Machine and Its Components by Rodrigo A. Calderon. An electrocardiogram, also known as the EKG or ECG, is a device which graphically records the electrical activity of the muscles of the heart. The heart is composed of 4 chambers which make up 2 pumps. You have the left atrium, the right ventricle, and the left ventricle. The atrium collects the incoming blood, and when it contracts, transfers the blood to the ventricle. When the ventricle contracts, the blood is pumped away from the heart. In its history, the development of the EKG began with the discovery of electronic potential of living tissue. This electromotive effect was first investigated by Aloisio Luigi in 1787. What he did was to get cables and connected them from the nerves to the actual muscle of a frog legs, and realized that through electrical impulses, the muscles will contract. The variation of the electronic potential of the beating heart was observed as early as 1856, but it was not until William Einthoven, who invented the string galvanometer, that a practical functioning EKG machine could be made. When the force of the heart was applied to the device, the string moved, and these deflections were then recorded on photographic paper. The first EKG machine was introduced by Einthoven in 1903. What you see here, the machine as well, and then basically the string that's sending the information to the actual machine. Basically, in its components, the ECG machine consists of electrodes, connecting wires, an amplifier, and a storage and transmission device. The electrodes or leads used in an ECG machine can be divided into 2 types, bipolar and unipolar. Here you see the components of the EKG comprised in cycles of 5 waves. You have the P, the Q, R, S, T waves, and sometimes you have the U. Here you have the P, the Q, the R, the S, T, and occasionally shows up the U. Very rarely. Which comparable to altered phases of heart activities. The P wave acts in place of the normal atrium depolarization, which ensues when both left and right atria, upper heart chambers, which receive blood flowing back to the heart from the other locations of the body, contract and pump blood to the ventricles, lower heart chambers, which pump blood from the heart back into the body. The AV node delays cardiac impulses from the SA node in order to let the atria to contract and empty their contents first. At this point, the Q wave is produced. As the signal presses on from the AV node and expands to the ventricles. That same signal will trigger the contraction of the left ventricle, in which will allow the R wave to be measured. An S wave will be generated by the depolarization of a basal, which is the base parts of the ventricles, resulting in the contraction of the right ventricle. Now the QRS complex is the combination of the Q, the R, and the S waves. This embodies the pumping action of the ventricles through the electrical forces that are generated by ventricle depolarization. Not always noticed, but still present, mainly on the right precordial leads, V2 and V3, is the U wave. There is much speculation on the U wave, but many agree that they occur as after depolarizations in the ventricles and or repolarization of the Purkinje fiber. Thank you.